Of Love in Action Network's Deconstruction Junction television show and podcast. I'm Dr. Flo, not telling you what I heard, what I know. What I know is that you are loved and lovable. You've always been loved and lovable, and you're always going to be loved and lovable for the rest of your days. It is our positive intention today to be present to the needs of our community, to encourage, equip, and empower everybody who has a dream to make it come true. And over the next hour or so, we're going to be sharing in love with each other. You know, we're joined every Thursday these days by the wonderfully talented Tara Praolo Studio, who's somewhere in that kitchen over there tending to the baby. Is it pasta for lunch? Tell me what's for lunch with the baby, and also who you are in the world for those who may not know you.
We are currently having leftover taco meat, goldfish, some lunch meat that is turkey, and what else are you having? Oh, and a cheese stick. And I'm about to cut up the rest of this banana from breakfast. I'm Tara Parlo. I am your resident Black, biracial, multi-passionate musician. I talk about the ish that nobody wants to talk about and push you to do the same. Yeah, what you just heard, I don't know if I got it on mute soon enough, is our WhatsApp chats. If you are interested in being in community with us, we just ask that you send us a flare once a week. So you can like a post, you can check in our Facebook group, you can do whatever, but once a week, show up in a clubhouse room, whatever, because we want to be in community with people that want to be in community with us. We are also always looking. You are on mute if you are talking. Okay, baby. He
I was saying that we also want to be in a community of care. My restream has been
You're good.
glitching for days, though. It's muted. Like my panel up by the video says that I am muted, even though the platform itself is not. So we'll move through those technical difficulties. What were you saying? My apologies.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say that we are always looking for people to host along with us. We may have found one today in a clubhouse room. We hope he will come on. He's a member of our community. We hope he will come on very soon, and we will work that out. But we are also interested in hearing from someone, you know, that maybe we don't know. We are happy to have you on some version of the podcast, whether that be Deconstruction Junction, Boost. Dr. Flo has a beautiful new talk situation coming to the Substack. I will just leave that open for him to discuss, or something else. If you just want to be interviewed about your life, if you want to be interviewed about what you're doing in your business, we are happy to give you some amplification and would love to just have a conversation with you. So your name here, you can do that at lovedandlovable.bio.link and just click the application. Okay, that's all.
Could you take a moment, Tara, to tell the people about how we got here? Like, how did Deconstruction Junction come to be? What were we experiencing? I think we've been doing this for over a year now of these conversations. Can you tell people a bit about how we got to this present moment of sharing in life?
Yeah, so, you know, I did, I guess going on 18 months ago, I did a week of master classes, and I am hoping to bring back some of my master classes. I haven't quite decided what I'm doing in July, but there's going to be, except for July 4th, free and donation-based situations inside of Tara Paralo's studio, not just voice, but also, you know, deconstruction, decolonization, DEI stuff, blackening the canon stuff in July. But anyway, I taught a week of master classes, and that inspired us to kind of bring back our master classes like we used to teach on Clubhouse, and in other spaces like Dr. Flo was teaching them on TikTok, et cetera, et cetera. And so we had a cycle of different master classes, right? So we were doing this, a beautiful watermelon. It's gorgeous, darling.
I saw yours on the counter, so I had to go get mine.
It is over there. Yeah. So then we were teaching like they were like, it was like singing, I don't remember, business, social media, and then it was deconstruction. But what we realized was a lot of the conversations that we were having on those other podcasts or those other master classes were virtually the same as what we were having on Deconstruction Junction, because what we do in one area of our lives, we do in the other areas of our lives. And all of this, everything that is happening in the world is happening to our bodies, which is then coming out in our voices and all of the other things that we're doing. And so it's affecting all of those other aspects. So Dr. Flo said, let's do Deconstruction Junction every week. And I said, okay. And here we are. So yeah, so we take the time to not just break down the headlines, but also break down anything that like is interesting to us. We've had a couple times that we've gone through threads and it's like, oh, we think we agree with that thread. And by the end of the conversation, we're like, wait, that thread actually came a little bit left, you know? So yeah, so we talk about politics, we talk about ceasefire. These are pretty consistent things on the podcast. We talk about ICE, but we also talk about other things. Like I have a couple other topics today that will be fun.
I found that people generally are not talking frankly and publicly about life. And so I wanted us to keep the conversations going. Tara, this morning in our clubhouse rooms, and we run those rooms most days, twice daily on a social audio platform called Clubhouse. She posited this morning that a great deal of our healing is going to come from the conversations we have. We're going to find that there is similarity on a human level between me and MAGA people. There are overlaps between me and Zionists, not in the ideologies that we have and how we want to, you know, proliferate our knowledge and our culture, but there's enough humanity at the root of all of us to allow for constructive conversation and the belonging that we're going to talk about a bit later today. So I hope that in our time together that we say something or spark a conversation within you or a piece of passion and courage that allows you to have these conversations in your community. A lot of people don't learn by hearing about these things. They need to see us, myself currently based in North Carolina and Tara in Minnesota, having the conversation out loud. And even if you don't enjoy the things we talk about today, just take note of the conversation that we're having and how we're having it. She's feeding her baby over lunch. I'm sitting here in my superfan shrine, and we're just talking about the things that have been coming up in our path and what it means to us as humans on the planet. And Tara and I are performers, so it would seem that we, would have a podcast to push our products or push our shows or push our events and what have you. For me, a long time ago, this particular project and Love and Action Network's offerings turned into a legacy project, in that I want the generations that follow behind me to know what I was doing and how I felt about life on June the 26th, 2025. This is our living will and testament of how we felt about things like this next slide. How are we feeling today, Tara, about everything going on in Iran?
So, over the weekend, and Dr. Flo and I have not talked about this, but maybe it was late last week. It might have been late last week. Those of you that have been following know that earlier last week, Israel decided to bomb Iran. And kill off a bunch of their leadership without really claiming anything. And the president of the United States, who is currently Donald Trump, was like, he was like, I don't know if we're going to enter it. I don't know if the US is going to do it. I'm going to take 2 weeks to decide. And then suddenly, last weekend, decided to drop US bombs, which the Israel bombs are US bombs, to be clear. But the US got involved, right? And bombed a few nuclear facilities inside of Iran. Then Trumpykins decided that there's this like clip out there of him talking to a reporter, and he says to the reporter, neither, like, they've been fighting for so long that they don't know what the fuck they're fighting about anymore. He like verbatim, he says what the fuck they're fighting about. So that's your president. You know, I mean, it's the president of the United States. But yeah, and then he called for a ceasefire, or said there was a ceasefire, and then there was some confusion around that. And like the supreme leader of Iran was like, you know, like he disappeared for like a week, but then he showed up this morning. Like, I don't listen. Things are happening over there. But if you click next and make it big for me, I'll tell you all what Threads was saying about it, because I do think it's important. Okay, so they're already dragging out the tried and true, all right, from 9/11 sleeper cells, all right. That's what the news has been alight about. Sleeper cells, manufacturing consent. Liberate women, manufacturing consent. WMD, manufacturing consent. What is your problem? What's your problem? Are you done?
Enemy of the West, manufacturing consent. They throw queer people off buildings, manufacturing consent. Human animals, this translates as the manufacturing of consent. All of these phrases are being used to dehumanize people from Southwest Asia so you'd be okay with their murders funded by our tax dollars. Be smarter than the propaganda. On you, Priolo.
And the next one says, I grew up hearing they hate us for our freedom. No, they hate us because we bomb first, ask never, and then gaslight the world about peace. I just got to read that sentence again because I think it's so good. They hate us because we bomb first, ask never, and then gaslight the world about peace. American propaganda starts at birth. We're fed hero stories while the world buries the bodies. We're taught to see ourselves as saviors while entire countries know us as the reason they live under rubble. It's despicable. And I think I have one more slide. Yes, I do. No. Thank you.
Thomas Lynn says, for those of you born after 9/11, let me clue you in. There is no nuclear bomb. There are no sleeper cells. Y'all, this is why we show up every week to talk about it, because most people are not having these conversations at their dinner tables. There is no nuclear bomb, despite what y'all see on the news. There are no sleeper cells. The war is illegal, which I'm going to talk about in a second with Tara. The media is going to lie to you to justify this war. The government will use this to demonize non-white people and justify harsher immigration raids. This is the same playbook as 2002. Look up the quote, "We don't want the smoking gun to be a mushroom cloud." If you think I'm exaggerating, don't fall for it. I'm going to reiterate 2 more times that last sentence. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it.
So the reason that I brought this today and brought these particular ones is to highlight the propaganda that is told to us about brown countries. And I really if you can believe this, right? If you can sit here and you're like, oh yeah, like I get it. Like, no, like I need you to go look at the rest of the propaganda you've been fed about other brown countries in South America, in Africa, in the Middle East, in Southeast Asia. Just go look, because there are so many. I talked about this with Poppy Wada, and I don't know if he's gotten the book yet, but like Shock Doctrine will by Naomi Klein will wake you the fuck up about what we did in South America. And we are doing the same thing, right? Y'all remember? I remember they were like, there's sleeper cells in Iraq. We have to invade. And then we were there for 20 years. Right? We literally destroyed countries. And it was approved by the people of the United States, right? The approval rating of George Bush was not as low as Biden's or Trump's. Right? So this is all just to say that, like, don't, like, really truly, y'all, the big news sources. I was so disturbed over the weekend because I was like, I can't really find anything. Threads isn't a light, but I saw something come from New York Times and I just want to verify it. So I turn on the TV. It was like late at night. Turn on the TV. I go to CNN. Okay. And I was so disturbed because where was Anderson Cooper but in Tel Aviv, Israel, reporting on the United States bombing Iran? I was so disturbed by that. And I just had to highlight that there are terrorist organizations, but they don't hate us. They don't hate the United States because the United States did nothing. They hate the United States because of the violence that the United States propagates on brown countries. Every brown country, and every brown person, everyone. The United States does that.
And there are going to be more organizations sprouting up from the current violence.
Right.
What we did after 9/11 is creating more
More.
violence in the world. I mean,
Right.
if you killed my entire family, I would seek vengeance
Actually, that's
upon you.
okay. Thanks for stopping by.
I would seek vengeance. I would seek vengeance. The point that I wanted to bring of this current post, which I'll make a little larger here for everyone, is that this war is very illegal, meaning that it's not authorized by Congress, and Congress represents the people. I would like to believe, and I trust, that most Americans don't want to be engaged in other people's wars and certainly don't want to see the genocide of people groups. Once again, folks, these are humans. They have hunger like you, they have thirst like you, they have families like you. They want to be happy, healthy, and free, just like all of us. And the fact that white aligned people in power want to drop bombs because it is lucrative, you gotta follow the money. Bombs cost money.
Bombs cost money, but also the other part of the Middle East. The whole reason that the Middle East keeps coming up, the whole reason, right, that George W. Bush tried to finish what his daddy started, right? Because let's be clear, his daddy started it, right? Is because there is so much oil. There is so much oil in the Middle East. And that, I mean, the bombs are money too, but the oil is money. So it is illegal. To do without the authorization of Congress. I did see another thread that was like, that was my child knocking the whole computer over. I did see another thread that was like, respectfully, like, calling your Congress members is the least action that you should be doing because he has already overstepped Congress. Like that, the point is, bombs fell without the approval of Congress. So yes, while Congress is supposed to be doing checks and balances, Congress also, the House, Representative Al Green brought impeachment things, whatever those are called. I can't remember what they're called.
Proceedings.
Proceedings, right? brought them. And 100, I need y'all to hear this because it's about the Democrats. And I need y'all to stop believing that the Democrats are going to be the thing that save you. I talked about it in my stories the other day that the idolatry of Donald Trump is the very same thing that y'all are doing to Kamala. It's the very same thing that you do to Bernie. It's the very same thing. It's the very same thing. So until we start having a conversation about the actual excuse me, office of power and offices of power, we will get nowhere. We will get nowhere. Okay. But anyway, my point about the Democrats, 128 of them, 128, I need you to hear that number, 128 voted against bringing impeachment proceedings. 128. But tell me again how calling your Congress member is the only action that you can take.
They actively support the regime. They actively are supporting it. They're actively aligning with it. They're actively Zionist. They actively are taking the Zionist money. They're actively being courted by pro-Israel, pro-isn't-real lobby. And I don't understand why you all so desperately want to align with evil. Just yesterday, I was in a clubhouse room where me speaking up for the lives of Palestinian people had people in the audience labeling me as an anti-Semite. I hate defending myself. We're going to talk a little later about the mayoral race of New York City. This guy, because he's Muslim, has to constantly remind people, as I do, that I have cherished Jewish friends in my life. And when I'm talking about my cherished Jewish friends and Zionists who want to eradicate and genocide a complete group of people, I'm not talking about the same kinds of humans. You all know it, but you love to conflate it. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. We actually see through the smoke screen. We've actually followed the money. We know the active oppression of Zionist and racist Jewish people. We know what it's like to be ignored by people who don't want to see the facts. People who want you to talk forever about the Holocaust, but not acknowledge Middle Passage and that experience in our country. They're quick to point out the plights of Jewish people, but not the plight of Black Americans actively. And I'm not buying into the oppression Olympics. I maintain and we maintain that nobody is going to be free until everybody is free. And I think that we need to get a grip. If you have not noticed, the empire is falling. And she's also chasing a child. Let's talk a bit today about recovery. Recovery is... where do I go?
Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
You have to know that something is broken to fix it. Even if the brokenness is your brain chemistry and your relationship to yourself. I started last Thursday, a week ago, having a real and honest conversation with my community about my feelings, emotions, and my physicality. I was not feeling good anymore. Ah, my God. We got to go back. We got to go. That wasn't the beginning. Drunk dial a senator. Yeah, you can do that. Tony, I love your picture over here. I love the graphic. And Tony's right. Shout out to Tony. People are our greatest resource. We love him so much in our community. Sorry, I just saw the comments. Lobbying should be illegal. People putting their special interest ahead of the interest of the collective should be illegal. The fact that they are allowed to take APAC money and act like it's not influencing the governance that Tara was talking about is the beginning and the mother of all lies. And Tara, I want to ask before I start talking about recovery again, if to the people listening who think that reaching out to their senator or drunk dialing their senator is the solution, but we know that it's not going to help, what would you have them do?
So I have a couple things. Yes. I mean, the thing is, the action that we have to take has to be commensurate with the action that is taken by the government, right? So, sure, call your senators, junk dial your senators, but then you need to get out and have a conversation with the people around you. You need to figure out who can help you, right? And by help you, I mean in both terms of like helping you change your tire or getting food, but also the people that can help you lift your cause, the thing that you believe is wrong, to ears that are ready to hear it. Right? So that would mean reaching out maybe to your neighbor. It might also mean reaching out to a podcast like this. For instance, for Justice for Charles McNair, at one point, I had reached out to a podcast I saw on TikTok that talked about like small town crimes that like wrongfully convicted, right? And so I said, hey, would you be willing to cover this case, right? And so that's stuff you can do. Like finding your community is so important. Tony talked about this in the clubhouse room this morning. Finding a community is one of the best actions you can do. Then gathering that community, right? And I know that for some of you, that's like, oh my God, but I don't have any like event planning experience. I can't. Find the person that has it. Find the person that has it, right? The more we organize, the more people that understand what we're talking about here, the more power we have that is more than just leaving a message that the senator may or may not ever hear.
That game is rigged anyway. For those of us who've actively been in the space working for human rights, we know that you send in the letter or you call or you send the email. It works its way through an automated system. Chuck Schumer, who was my former senator, would send me back a letter that was auto-generated saying, thank you for telling us of your concern. And then nothing ever changed. They recognize that as long as they say something or do something, they can say that they did something for re-election, but they're not really actively looking for change. And we're looking for change. And speaking of change, I started last week on a recovery journey. For the last 7 years, I have been off and on a functioning stoner and pothead. This is not a commentary on the usefulness or the tragedy that can be cannabis usage. All I will say today is we must recognize in our lives when we are doing things and in environments that do not serve us. And I've come to a place of understanding that the substance abuse, hashtag duh, has been holding me back from the things I say I want in my life. And we've had some pretty significant crossings of the Rainbow Bridge in our community. The Praolos have experienced the death of loved ones. I've experienced the death of loved ones recently in my artistic community. You know, RIP to Grandma Dolores.
Both grandmas Dolores and RIP to Penny.
Penny, my friend Jeff. People are leaving the planet. I'm very acutely aware that time's a ticking on how long I'm here. Do I want to be here in exacerbated anxiety? Do I want to be here emotionally and physically numb to what's happening in my community and the world around me? Do I want to move? Because I was an indica guy, y'all. Do I want to move at twice slow the speed that I could move towards this podcast, towards
You
my
would have
show?
never won a Mario Kart game with me. You would have never won, ever.
I can't even steer the car the right way on these games. My right joystick and left joystick coordination is something I didn't get in life. I can sing a whole show of wonderful music for the world, but getting my left thumb, which one? Because one of them is actually the direction, and then one is the camera. And I am, I might as well be playing with my feet, right? Um, the dreams I have, and we have to get real about this stuff. The dreams I have were not going to complete with the level of self-loathing and self-hatred I had slowly poisoning and killing myself. And if you are out there today and you're doing anything in your life or maintaining any relationship to a substance or a person or otherwise that's not causing you to move towards the things that are going to make you happy, healthy, and free, I would encourage you to investigate it and perhaps make some really, really tough decisions about who you want to be. I talked to Tara last Thursday. I said, we're moving into a territory of abuse, substance abuse, because the substances I'm using are not making me feel good. It's actually making me worse. And I didn't ask her to help me out of it. I just wanted to have a real and honest conversation about how I was feeling. Something that brought me joy was starting to cause me pain. Lots of life changes were happening, and I felt weakened. The moves that I'm trying to do to encourage, equip, and empower 800,000 people annually to love themselves more, to find themselves to be loved and lovable, to stand as superfan number one in their own support line, it was starting to unravel because I was poisoning myself. So my story is this, and I've told the story over the last few days. The weed that currently exists in our society is not the weed of years prior. This is a whole different monster. If you do the research, they are continually amping up the potency of these substances. They're making it commercially available and putting it on the shelves to be addictive so that you do not leave. At one point in this recent journey, my weed bill was $600 a month. Now, it's mine to spend on whatever the fuck I please, except it was harming me. It was making me anxious. I was not sleeping at night. It was challenging my relationships. It was not making me feel at home in my body and my professional and personal relationships. It had to go. The issue is because it was intentionally made addictive, this path of leaving would include night sweats, night terrors, um, headaches, physical nausea. This is all the things that I'm currently experiencing right now in active recovery. Why am I talking about this on the podcast today? Recovery for me and my present recovery is a reclamation of the joy and love and hope in my heart. And I want to encourage everyone who may be struggling with substance abuse or emotional abuse or any other kind of abuse to reach out to a trusted friend, to reach out to someone who wants to see you win your race and say, you know, maybe this was working for me before, but I feel like we've crossed over into a harmful space. And this could happen with a lover. I used to love him. This is how I was with my weed. I used to love it. It used to treat me great. And then it began to take from me. It began to abuse me. It began to make me feel ashamed about myself. I learned over the weekend as I started my recovery journey that there's a high correlation between cannabis usage and lowering your self-esteem and your capacity to thrive. Now hashtag duh, for those of you who are of that life, maybe presently or been part of that life, it is known that the indica strain, which I loved, of cannabis will put you in the couch. Great, right? That you want to chill out. Great that you want to calm down. Great that you want to take it easy, except that cannabis has this thing, Tara, where it makes you calm as you're going up, and then it flips and then freaks you out. Who wants to be on that roller coaster? What was your experience on my walk up to saying, I let go of things that don't serve me and actually mean it this time? I mean, I've been the guy for the last 4 years in this work saying we let go of everything that doesn't serve us. If there's a person in our life that doesn't serve us, if there's a substance in our life, there's a job. How many jobs have I quit since you've known me because it just did not serve me and the light I want to put into the world? I've quit jobs quicker than I quit the cannabis. In your perspective, from the outside looking in as a tried and true friend, what do you think was really going on?
I mean, I think you said it yesterday when we were kind of when you were sharing a lot about what you had learned, and one of the things that you said was, I just forgot the thread. Hold on, it's gonna come back. It'll come back. I'll go a different direction, and then it'll come back because that happens. I think you also said this yesterday. This wasn't the thread that I was going to go for, but like you were just saying, at one point it was fun. It was a way to, like a lot of us come home, have a drink, or like take off your work clothes, put on another, put on something else, put on something more comfortable. Like it was like that. However, and I think when I first met you, because you were in the position that you were in the job that you were in, there wasn't, it couldn't become necessarily the abuse that it became in your current situation, where you weren't tethered to a job. You haven't been tethered to a job for 3 years, almost going on 3 years. And also you are so supported. And I think one of the facets of your personality that is brilliant as a coach, like for you coaching other people, but when it's turned in on yourself, goes a little left, is the want for there to be something wrong. right? Like to find the one thing to blame, like, oh, the reason that this particular thing isn't working is because that cord isn't plugged in there, right? That curiosity, that want to tinker with things. And I think that's what part, because like I remember at the, over the last year, really, it was like tinkering with the shop, tinkering with the type, tinkering with the, with the wraps. Like there were so many different things that started to be the tinker of like, this is what's wrong in my life, this is what's wrong in my life, this is what's wrong in my life. And the reality was, until you removed one of the mainstays in your life, it was going to be impossible to see and truly embrace that um saying, I let go of what doesn't serve me, because for the longest time it did serve you. For a long time, when you were in your previous location, you were still doing shows, you were still performing, you were still doing a lot of the things that you liked to do. And it was only when it started to become that your life was the addiction, right? That your life was going out and sitting on the back porch, losing a bunch of time. Oh my God, Poppy's home, right? Um, like, and like that's what it became, as opposed to like, I'm performing and then I'm giving myself, I'm done with my job, so I'm giving myself a reward, right? Um, and I think something that you
Yes,
said,
folks, do not allow your substance abuse to become your full-time job.
it's not a full-time job.
Not a full-time job.
It's not a
If
full-time.
only, if only.
Yeah,
But then it's a horrible job because you got the nausea and the headache and the sickness. So who would show up to a job every day that was making them ill? That's the reason why I left too.
yeah, yeah. I don't remember the other thread. If it comes back, it comes back. But yeah, I mean, I think with this one, because I've seen you quit a lot of things. I've seen you walk away from people. I've seen a lot in my 4 years and a couple months
And we are
around.
very pro quitting here, by the way, folks. Very pro quitting. For
Very
those of you out there who are trying to like make the substances fit, make the job fit, make the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the lover fit. We are not proponents of just shoehorning life. If
mm,
you get to a point, as I got to last week, where the weed is no longer serving you, there's no reason to go back to the shop, like you said, and try a new wrap, try a new strain, try a new like. There's no reason to do that. If it's not working, it is okay to quit. I need everyone who's listening now or later to just say to yourself, it is okay to quit. It is okay to quit. There's no reason for you to double down on a lifestyle or a situation that is not working. Going
right.
out in the morning, first thing in the morning, waking and baking, and then zombieing through the day, taking a nap, then waking up and zombieing some more. Like, that's not how you build a global dream. That's not how you build a global revival. And while I'm being very, very careful in my recovery process to not vilify any of it, there are people who have a very healthy relationship with cannabis. They're going to do it today and be happy. It turned into something that was managing my life as opposed to me managing my life. And that's why it had to go. And if you're out there today and you've got something in your life that is overtaking the entire experience and not serving you and making you happy, we give you permission to quit.
Absolutely, totally. Absolutely, totally.
Let's talk about this New York City mayoral race. Oh, this is mine. So there's a gentleman who I'm going to look up in real time.
His name is Zoran Momdani. Also running. This was the NYC primary Democratic primaries, because Mayor Eric Adams has decided to run as an independent. So there will be an independent, a Republican, and a Democrat in the race come November, which y'all still should mayhaps consider voting in November. Um, uh, the other candidates were Brad Landon, who was the dude that who got arrested last week for holding on to an immigrant. That's the same dude. Same dude. Got arrested by men in masks who refused to identify themselves and produce a judicial warrant. Same dude. And then
Current
also,
clan, as I call them, current clan.
yeah, the what are you saying? The disgraced governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, was the other. And Brad and Zoran really did a number on Andrew Cuomo. Like they were like, they went on a late night show and like somebody was like, so why do you support each other? Like what, why are you like each other's number one and number two, da 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 da. And they were like, because we don't want Andrew. Like, like it don't matter who wins because we don't want Andrew, and we share more, as we've been talking about all day today. Like we share more than we don't. And yeah. Anyway, continue your topic. So what do you want to say about
Zoran Mamdani topples Andrew Cuomo in New York City mayoral race. The 33-year-old Democratic Socialist, important to note, lawmaker outpaced the ex-governor who has conceded in a stunning primary, signaling generational change in the Democratic Party. That's also evil, by the way, y'all. Zoran Mamdani, a 33-year-old Democratic Socialist lawmaker, is on pace to win the Democratic primary for New York City mayor. This is 2 days ago. A seismic shift in what normally would have been a sleepy re-election for the incumbent Eric Adams, and one that involved toppling Andrew Cuomo's political comeback. Cuomo conceded defeat late Tuesday night and said he called to congratulate Mamdani. Mamdani won 43.5% of first place votes to Cuomo's 36.3%. And the board is expected to announce full results on July the 1st. This gentleman has a lot of public support. He had the backing of Bernie Sanders and AOC. I want to open up the discussion a bit about how you think this is going to really directly impact Democratic politics. Like, I don't believe in either of the parties. Who's the independent?
Eric?
Evil.
Yeah. So I don't think. Okay. I said this on my story. I'm so sorry, y'all. I got stuck for a second, but it didn't come out as silence. It came out as multiple gays. Anyway, listen real good. I'm a student of politics. I love politics. I also see exactly what's happening. Like the theater of it all. And I can tell you all that tomorrow we will absolutely, and as we go forward, if he wins if he becomes the mayor, what we are going to hear is when he turns 35, he's going to make a great president. He's the savior of the Democratic Party. Stop it. He is not. I honestly haven't found anything bad about this dude in the research that I've done, but also stop. Because again, back to what I was saying earlier, like we still haven't reconciled what being the president means. Like for whatever reason, not whatever reason, because colonization tells you so. There's this belief that if we just place the right person in office, the entire country will change. That is not true because the office is the power, not the person. The office is the power. So just because y'all think you're going to put another brown man up there, you're going to put a brown woman up there, you're going to put a black woman up there, the office of the president is to be a war criminal. It is to corrupt. It is to colonize. It is to be an imperialistic nation. So it doesn't change anything. So to want this man, who again seems to be very energized, seems to actually want to bring about some real change, don't go messing it up by asking this man to be president. Let him work on local politics where it actually matters. I think it's cool that he is a proud democratic socialist. I think that's a pretty cool thing. I mean, it makes sense that he aligns with Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders supported him. Actually, the TikTok of Bernie Sanders giving the endorsement is pretty cute. I went and looked at some of his campaign stuff because Imani / Crutches and Spice over on TikTok was talking about how well the campaign was run. And I like the theater of it all. I do like seeing the campaigns run. Like, for instance, last summer, we knew that Trump was going to win that election, not only because of Elon Musk, but because, did y'all not see the picture after he got shot, pew-pewed? Did anybody see the picture? Because the
What are
picture
you
was,
talking about? What picture?
the picture was genius, with the American flag and the fist in the air and
Are you
the,
talking about when Trumpicans got
yeah,
allegedly?
when he allegedly got shot at. It was amazing. Okay, it was great marketing, and this dude had great marketing, right? Um, However, Piper, come on, stop. He has faced a lot of Islamophobia, and the other thing I want to point out is that he is a Muslim democratic socialist who won in the most Jewish city in the United States. Just throwing that out there. Throwing that out there.
But he's catching it. He's catching
He
it.
is catching it.
Like
Piper,
they
please.
they have said, this guy's an anti-Semite and he is not supportive of everyone. There is the thing we don't talk about a lot is the very major distrust within the Jewish community, and understandably so, of anybody who's othered. Does that help us move forward? No. Are they willing to actually admit that they are insular and do not want to include everyone in their cultural mores and their country clubs and access to their money and power? No. I get called Dr. Anti Semite and Dr. Gay for things like this. Any group that is not, and like black people are, we've had to be notoriously inclusive. We've never been able to hold as much power and autonomy in our community as our Jewish counterparts. Him speaking up for everyone, including the Muslim demographic of the city, is something to behold. Is he changing the establishment? I don't think so. Zoran Kwame Mamdani is an American politician who has served as a member of the New York State Assembly from the 36th District based in Queens since 2021. He is a member of the Democratic Party and the Democratic Socialists of America and the presumptive nominee for mayor of New York City. And he earned a bachelor's degree in Africana Studies, which is interesting, from Baldwin College. And he worked as a housing counselor and hip hop musician before entering politics.
Come on, hip hop musician. Come on, hip hop musician. Listen, I'm going on the whole internet to find this. Hip
I
hop.
need to see him freestyling and spinning on his head like that lady did at the Olympics. I will not rest until I see him beat bopping with the best of them.
Oh my God.
And for those of you who wonder why I'm scratching, I'm having like a bit of an allergic reaction. It could be the detox and withdrawal. It could be the smoothie I had for breakfast. I don't know why I'm itching all over, but for those of you watching, just know that I'm not coming undone per se. I'm just actively having I'm having something happen. Tell us a little bit more about Earl Smith as we move forward to set up what I think. I don't. I don't actually.
This is major trigger warning. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. Modern day lynching attempting to be covered up by the folks. And there's a TikTok video that explains it, I do believe, as the second slide. So if we can go there, that would be great. I think. He may have left me here. but we need the TikTok. Um, Earl Smith, I believe this is New York as well. There it comes. Here comes.
Another black man hanging from a tree in 2025. And we're just supposed to swallow that and move on? No, not this time. Not Earl Smith. He was 58, a father, a grandfather, a man who had just been baptized. And on the morning of June 11th of 2025, his body was found hanging from a tree in Albany, New York. And before his family could even process what happened, before a single piece of footage was even reviewed, the police said there's no foul play. It looks like that line, that's the rope now. Sterile, passive, clean. But the message is the same. Don't ask, don't push. Just move along. But let me tell you why we can't move along. Because we've seen this story before. Public lynchings used to be community events in this country. People brought their children, smiled for photos, took pieces of the victim's body home like souvenirs. They mailed out postcards of our dead bodies. And those ropes, they didn't just kill, they warned. Stay in your place. And when it wasn't public spectacle, it was a cover-up. You ever heard of Claude Neal in 1934? They tortured him for hours and dumped his body near the courthouse lawn. The sheriff, he said, oh, he must have made someone angry. You ever heard of Emmett Till? Of course you have. But how many names never made it into the textbooks because the authorities called them accidents or blamed it on the victim's own hands? And now, in 2025, after all the blood and the so-called progress, we're still here. A man was found hanging from a tree in broad daylight, and we're just told to accept it. So let's talk facts. His family doesn't believe that it was. They said that he was full of joy, full of plans, full of life. There are 3 cameras in that area, but the footage, nowhere, not public, not reviewed. And the press has already moved on. Where else have you heard about this? Because a dead black man isn't news. It's routine. Earl Smith should still be here. And if he couldn't be saved, then the very least this country could do is fight for the truth. But instead they zipped the bag, shut the file, and turned off the mic. This isn't justice. It's the modern-day lynching blueprint. Clean rope, quiet room, no questions. But we are not quiet people. We remember what they've tried to erase. We know what a hanging means. And we'll not forget Earl Smith. So we have to remember him. We have to remember his name and his story. Because this time, we're not swallowing their silence. We can't.
So that's Earl.
Child, this reminds me, this happened on Long Island during the pandemic when I was still in the city full time. Like, there's also a young lady who was hung in a local park here in this particular village that I live in.
There were
It
2 trans black people that were hung in California a couple of years ago during COVID.
the propaganda of fear. They really want us as people of color to walk around in life being afraid of pissing someone off or making someone mad. Have y'all ever thought about the fact that black people don't necessarily want to live in a world where we have to endure the bullshit in the first place? It's nuts to me. But the cover up is crazy. The cover up is crazy. And why are people, or why aren't people of all colors speaking up about this? Do we not value life?
And she asked in that video, where else have you heard about it? I have found maybe 3 TikTok videos on it. I haven't seen his name cross my threads. Certainly haven't. I don't watch the news, but I haven't seen it anywhere. So
Rest in peace, Earl.
yeah,
If your crime in the society was your skin, It's really fucked up. Really, really fucked up. I want to transition us now into talking about AI and deep fake culture. While the last news that we talked about is not fake, there's a lot of fake videos and what they are calling AI slop that is starting to permeate the feed. Have you not heard it called that?
What? Which is
AI
which is that?
slop.
Which is
I
that?
watch what was that show next week tonight, or you know what I'm talking about?
No. Newsweek.
It's called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. It's a talk show that I watch on streaming, and he was actually talking about this concept of AI slop, and that's how we got here. AI slop is a term for low quality media, including writing and images made using generative artificial intelligence technology, characterized by a lack of inherent effort, logic, or purpose, like Shrimp Jesus. Here, I'll show you. That's Shrimp Jesus, for those of you who've not seen it. People are making this stuff, it's going viral, and it's actually suppressing the actual news. You could actually go on Twitter or go on social media and see this before you hear about the lynching of a black man in Albany, New York. And people, what's crazy about this public lynching that happened in New York State is that people presume that the North is safe for black people. It's not safe for black people because they don't want to talk about the harm that's being caused by their alleged supremacist counterparts. And this deep fake culture and AI bubble that we're going into, I think is going to have a far reaching effect on how we get the real news and talk about the things that matter to us. Because Shrimp Jesus is easier to find than a story about Earl. What say you about the proliferation of AI and the ways in which it's kind of overtaken our feeds? Like, we've had to work very, very hard in our community over the last 4 years to be top of mind to people. Like, we go out of our way to message our community members multiple times a day, to stay up on this podcast, to keep our streak of 85 weeks going of showing up in encouraging, equipping, and empowering content for the community. We have to really, really work at it because our feeds are being overrun with things that aren't real, such as deepfakes, or just AI stuff that's out here as slop. How do you think that's going to bode for our future of needing information that actually liberates us, Tara?
Well, I have a question about this AI Jesus shrimp, which is, why is he not black? Like, at least put in a better prompt, okay? Um, because that's white Jesus, okay? That's not black Jesus. Anyway, here's the thing. Here's the thing about wow, that looks like Poseidon. Um, anyway, I really, and we've talked about it on this podcast so many times. I'm so like, much like I am with religion, I'm very agnostic about it all. Like, I'm very like, I don't reach for AI. I actually, like, it was funny. A couple weeks ago, I asked someone who I thought would be kind of open to it. I was like, how do you actually tell if a picture is AI? Like, if the picture doesn't say it's AI, how do I tell? Like, can I put it in AI and it tells me that it's AI? Or like how can I tell when I'm just like scrolling that it wasn't someone creating graphic art from something that already existed, or someone that created art? Like, I feel like you shared something a long time ago. This is probably like 2 years ago, and someone was like, why are they? I was no, it was a picture of Kamala in a like superhero suit. And somebody was like, why are they sexualizing her? And that's like, I just remember this conversation. But, you know, I don't know that that picture was AI. I don't know that that picture was not created by a graphic designer. And so, like, for me, you know, that conversation, that particular conversation of like, how do I tell if it's AI? Like, it landed me in this spot where I was like almost a little bit paranoid about like when I was scrolling, like, ooh, is that news article AI? Right? Like, did that actually happen? And how do I find out if it actually happened? Right? Like, and then like I was sort of like, okay, well, like maybe this picture is AI. Like, do I still like, should I go support the people that I actually like? Just like it was just like a really interesting moment of like, how do I know what's real? Like I was very like, I was really weirded out for a couple days. Like I was just like, I don't even know. Like I'm reading this thread. Like yesterday, like I said to you, Dr. Flo shared something about Sudan, and I said, well, did you see the stuff about AI in the Congo? And we like, how do I know that that thread wasn't created by AI? You know what I mean? Like, so for me, like in my body, it makes me go, okay, I need to do some more research and find some people that like I know are real that are corroborating this story, right? Or are like corroborating this thing. I personally think that people can absolutely tell when it's something like that, when it's slop, you know, like, oh, this is just for funsies. But I also think what it tells us, like when the feeds are filling with it, the people that run them are trying to make us dumber, but number two, people are just seeking to have some fun, right? Like people really, I think, you know, in we've spent so many years in the liberation spaces, in the social justice spaces, making people see, right? Make them hear you, make them see the racism, make them see that these people are dying, make them see that they're starving, make them see. We must make them see. They have to see, they have to learn. We've spent so many freaking years doing that people now, like we were talking about black fatigue and how it has two different definitions depending on if you're white or if you're black, right? But like that is that, like the whole thing about needing to be serious, like saying that liberation has to be so serious is what drives people into AI slop, right? Because a lot of people aren't getting on the internet to go research liberation. They're getting on the internet because they're tired of going to work and not making enough fucking money to pay their bills. They're tired of having a 40-hour-a-week job and not being able to live. They're tired of wanting to go on a vacation that they can never take because there's the next credit card bill that's due tomorrow because they're living in an unaffordable nation. Right. And so I think, you know, when we talk about like, how do we break through, you and I, how do we break through when we're talking about joy, when we're talking about love, when we're talking about liberation, is it, and I think part of the reason that we, at least in the feedback that we get on Clubhouse, it is because it is an open, affirming, spiritual space that includes joy. We end every single room in gratitude. Every single room in gratitude. And I think that like the way we combat it is instead of, and I don't even know that we need to combat it. I think it can exist as it exists, right? I think the AI slop can like whatever. There's people that are going to get their rocks off by it. Da 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 da. I don't really care. I'm not going to yuck your yum for liking that, right? But I think we just have to be equally as joyful and equally as silly, right? And equally as open to belonging. Maybe there is somebody that genuinely believes that the Jesus that y'all worship was a white shrimp. You know, like, who's to say? We weren't there. We didn't live. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that with you today. Just to anchor what's happening, because I did a little bit of fact checking here. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, artificial intelligence presents both opportunities and potential risk, and there are concerns about its potential damaging impacts. The damaging impacts are disinformation and manipulation. And for those of you hearing all of these alarm,
Hello, here is your reminder.
It's time for
Love and action programming.
Whoa.
Flow.
I like the ways they
please
can set your name.
Love and action programming.
how would I know who she was talking to unless she's called my name? So disinformation and manipulation. There's surveillance and privacy concerns. There are resource extraction and environmental damage that's happening. Extracting minerals like cobalt, which is necessary for AI hardware. Deepening inequities, lack of preparedness. There's just a bunch of concerns that they're having. And I mean, any impoverished nation that's being pillaged and colonized is going to experience these things. I don't think we have a slide today about the hunger that's happening in the Sudan. Just tons of things to heal at the same time. And we're supposedly the humans that are supposed to do it. It's wild. Which leads me to my next slide of the day. Do we care? Do we have the capacity to care? This is a conversation that was introduced this morning in one of our clubhouse rooms, which we are running delayed to because we're here holding space and taping the podcast. So we'll get to that soon enough. I just want you all to know that this morning we had a conversation with Tony from People Are Our Greatest Resource about the ways in which care has the capacity to unify us. In a culture where people are really, really raising up this idea that like there's a limited number of things that I could care about, and I promise you I don't give a fuck about the rest. We are trying to find a space where there's actually more care, and the things that we care about, which are not avocado toast, by the way. Tara does not like avocados. I love avocados. Since there's no unification around that care, go on.
I listen. The one part of avocado toast that I would like to try, and this is 2026 thing. Okay, so some of y'all, I mean it's 2025. Some of y'all know that I really wanted to try king crab legs this year, and then I found out that ordering them from the freaking thing was going to be $100, and for like one crab leg, and I was like, there is absolutely no way that I would do that. But I have found a new thing, courtesy of Gigi on TikTok, who makes Eloise, and I'm obsessed. She also made chocolate from scratch. Anyway, she has this flaky sea salt from a specific brand. And I want to order, they have different flavors. So I want to order me some flavors, and I want to order Dr. Flo and Poppy Suze some flavors, because I want to experiment with flaky sea salt, which only the avocado toast made me think of it because people put sea salt on their avocado toast. Anyway, that's it.
I love shaved flaky sea salt. Remember Salt Bay? Remember the meme of Salt Bay? Oh my gosh. You don't remember? 1 second. Oh my gosh. Who among us? This is Salt Bay. This is a guy who the whole internet was going gaga about because he would make food and he would sprinkle the shaved salt onto the dishes like this.
I have never seen this man.
Totally a thing.
I clearly
Totally a thing. He got very, very famous.
This salt is way cheaper than I thought it was.
A Turkish chef whose signature move. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Anyway, the question on the floor is, do we care? And do we have the ability to unify enough in our care around the things that we really want to champion in the world and make better in order to come together to have these conversations? Do you think that that's a possibility in a world that's trying to pull us into a propaganda of disconnection, Tara?
Yeah, I do. It is literally as simple as that. I do believe it. I do, because I think people, you talked about this maybe in a clubhouse room, maybe on a podcast, I don't remember, but you talked about, you know, how people are waking up to class consciousness, and people are really trying to be like, they're, people are looking for something different, right? And so I do think that, like, there's a pendulum that has been swung all the way to this side of disconnection. We are incredibly disconnected. We are incredibly without community, all of these things. And I think that the pendulum has to swing the other way at some point. So yeah, I believe it's possible.
I love what Tony shared this morning about, as long as there are people in a space that care about the same things, you can move forward. And it lessens the bullshit when you know what you care about and you find people who care with equal compassion. You know, I really like the idea of that, and I wanted to bring it today to surface in the community. You have something here about friends versus community.
Did I spell friends wrong?
No.
Okay, it's a video. Click the video and then we'll go there. Do we have audio? And I'm just not hearing it.
The technicals today are taking me all the way out. I don't know why the platform is not cooperating, but stand by, y'all.
I think it's time for us to start having more conversations about the idea that having a friend group is not the same thing as having a community, and here's why. I've had this conversation come up with so many of my friends recently. We're all like craving community, wanting to know how to build it, yet none of us know how to do that. And before I go into my whole spiel about community, there's a reason why we don't know how to build communities. It is strategic, it is by design, it's so that we are reliant on an overall capitalistic and individualistic system that keeps us consuming. So when we have this very superficial conversation and saying like, well, I have friends and I have a friend group, therefore I do have community. It's not the same thing unless you are comfortable going to those friends and telling them when you don't have enough of a grocery budget to eat this month, that you're struggling financially in general. If you don't feel comfortable burdening them with the grief or the not so glossy parts of your life, that you don't really have a pulse on like what and who is important to them, where they're trying to go, and how you are also actively building with them and together with them, and maybe you guys have shared goals that you're building things together on. And so that is the main difference. And I do want to say, like, I do still love, you know, all these initiatives about like communities coming together and like, you know, having ecstatic dance and yoga and running clubs and mixers and all of that. Like, all of that is really great for meeting people, really great for getting us off of our phones. But here's why it's not sustainable. What we're craving, what we're actively seeking is essentially like a village. And villages weren't just built from knowing people in the village. They were built from relying on people in the village. So when we have this conversation about building communities, we can't have it without reliance, interdependent connection between other people. And an understanding not only of shared values, but like, where are those people trying to go? What are they trying to build towards? And are there projects that you guys can actively get involved in together in order to build together? AKA, how can you be strategically pooling your shared resources to create a better future, not just for yourself in isolation, but for everybody around you and everybody that you care about? So yes, you have a friend group, but does your friend group do that?
I just really liked that video. I just really liked it because I did. That's why.
Did you want to riff on it a bit? What about it resonated?
I just think that, like, I just really agree with her that there's a lot of people. Let me say this. I think there's a lot of people that, like, are like, I have so many friends. I have so many friends. I have such good friends. Da 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 da. But then, like, simultaneously, they're also like, but I'm really lonely, or like, but nobody helps me, or but nobody's listening to me. Like, I hear that a lot from people that quote unquote have great friends. And so I just really I really resonated with hearing that, like, finally, because, like, I think the other part of this is that, like, and we've talked about this on this podcast before, the community has sort of become one of those, like, buzz dirty words, like, then people are paying to be a part of a community. But I think a lot of that is paying for friendship, or paying for someone to, like, for a listening ear, as opposed to actually, like, being in community with each other. Because, like, I mean, we've talked about this all over this podcast, that, like, today's episode, that really it isn't just having a friend who, like she said, like, I mean, there's people in your life that I know of, right, that you would never call to ask for grocery money, right? But you can come to the Love in Action community. And the same is true for me. There are people that I have that are friends in my life that I would never call. You remember when my car got towed? One of the first people I called was Dr. Flo, right? Like, do you remember this? Like,
It's not funny, but I do remember that. And I'm proud to be a person on your list.
yeah, like, and I have, right, again, like, I have friends in the city that are not 936 miles away from me that I would not call, right? But I would sure as hell, like even the other day.
When your power went out yesterday, I named some. I was like, where is XYZ person?
Right.
You're in the city with this person, yet I'm concerned about your lights coming on and the ice
Right.
that your husband has to get, and you live walking distance from quote unquote friends.
Right. Hello, Manav. Also, the other day, like, here's an example. Instead of calling someone who lives down the street from me, I had to do a cop watch because the cops had pulled over a black person, and it was a white cop. And so I had to pull my car over and sit there. And did I call anybody in the city? No. I texted the security chat and I said, "Hi, I'm doing a cop watch." Literally all I said. Like, a block from the house, I'm doing a cop watch. Like, that's what I said. And so, like, but that's the thing. Like, that is community versus friendships. And for whatever reason, like, hearing that video, because I've heard that before, but, like, that particular video in that particular way over what's happened in the last, like, 2 weeks was really impactful to me. Like, and it's also, like, I think one thing maybe she didn't say is that, like, it's very okay to have both, and that, like, it's okay to have a friend group, and it's okay to have multiple communities, and it's also okay that those friend group people don't ever come into your community, right? Like, it's okay. That's okay.
Could you riff a bit about what we were talking about earlier about red people in your life, blue people in your
Yeah.
life? Nope.
I
Like,
saw this beautiful video, and this was a few
I gotta
weeks
go pee. I gotta go pee. By the way,
ago. Piper's gonna yell at you all while I give the story. I know, baby. So I can't remember if it was a video or if it was an infographic, but I have a lot of different communities that I'm a part of. I have a lot of different friend groups that I'm a part of, and very rarely do people come into those groups and, like, interact super well with each other, right? Like, I think one of the first times that I recognized this was at my wedding. And at weddings, y'all know, like, there are groups of people that know each other. Piper's literally like walking and blabbering, just like an adult. Um, there, oh my gosh, Piper. There are people that like literally know of each other, or like know the bride or know the groom, and like they've never interacted with that table next to them. You know what I mean? But those people are integral in one of the primary people's lives. And so anyway, I have been wondering for a long time, because this has been really true for me since I was in high school. Like, I used to get to choose my lunch period, so I could go like first lunch, second lunch, or third lunch. And I would hang out at different tables every lunch period, right? But those people at those lunch tables never hung out with each other. And I always thought the problem was like me, right? I internalized that so much, like, oh, like, like I just pick bad friends, or like I like people, like, I don't know what the hell I thought, but I had always internalized that. So anyway, so I saw this infographic. I think it was an infographic that was like, sometimes there's a purple friend. And that purple friend has, purple is made up of red and blue, as you all know, right? And that purple friend, the mix, like, it's great. They can have red friends and blue friends, and it feels good to the purple friend. It feels very good to the purple friend because those colors mixing together are beautiful. However, the blue friend and the red friend never get along. They do not mesh, right? And they're never going to get along, and that is okay. Like, and I really took that to heart, of like, okay, like, it is okay that I am the girl that has like a friend group here and a community here and another community over there and a friend group here that never necessarily like integrate really truly fully. Like, they might come across each other at my TED talk, at the ribbon cutting of my future building that I'm going to build for the Priola Foundation. They might come to the book signing, but they're never going to like talk behind the scenes to each other. Like, they're just not going to do that, right? And so I just think that that's important to
I used to have
acknowledge.
a problem with this in recent past. In the last couple of years, I would try to make everyone in Love and Action Network get along. Like, you all love our work here. You all love my leadership. You all say you love me. Why can't everybody just play nice? Sometimes those personalities just don't.
They just don't mesh the same way,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And we have to be accepting of that. But I did love this take from her because, you know, if you can't call someone up for grocery money or gas money or to get you out of a pinch, this is why I've been talking for years about how I think that friends, or the American standard of friendship, is very ornamental.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do with a friend? I've often said, oh my goodness, we're just great friends. Well, if you're in a pinch, or if the revolution comes, we're going to need more than friends in the revolution. We're going to
If
need
the zombies
community.
come, child, we need way more than friends.
If the who comes?
The zombies.
Oh, if this, yes. If the zombies do come, folks, we're going to need way more than friends. Which leads me to my topic about belonging. Do you think that we're ready for belonging? Do you think that I have been smashed to smithereens enough and smoked up enough and zoned out enough to return to the need for belonging?
Listen, I hope that you feel it again. I hope that you feel like you belong again. Because that was one of the things that was, I don't want to say it was hurtful, but it was always a little bit uncomfortable. Um, that it was like, you didn't want to necessarily, because you were so paranoid from the weed, like, that you didn't want to be part of the community that you had built, even though you built the community because you needed the community, right? And you like, it was really, yeah, it was just really sad. It was because it was like, no, we all need to belong, and you're belonging to something that isn't a person, you know. um and and so I hope that you're able to feel that, and I hope that more people are able to identify that that's what they're actually feeling. You know, we talked about this in the clubhouse room yesterday with Quincy and Mark, that like there, as much as, yes, people are motivated by shame, the flip side of that is that people are motivated by belonging. People just don't want to feel stupid in community, right? People don't want to feel like they're not welcome. People don't want to feel that way, and so they're seeking belonging, and at a lot of doors, friend doors, is closed in their face, right? I find that with people that are my friends, where I will go up to them and say something to them, and the reaction is, "You're preachy, Tara. That's a little radical, Tara. That's da da da," right? Like that's, and I just want to belong. I just want to belong. And so I think that the more and more what I see, especially in the grassroots movement, is a want to belong together, right? And the understanding that once we open our table and actually open our table, that the overwhelming sense of belonging will change the world.
I've said this for a long time. We want to belong to ourselves, because that allows that self-fulfillment and that healthy self-esteem and that healthy self-valuing and self-worth. And then hopefully from belonging to ourselves, we create a condition of overflow where then we belong to the world and the communities that we want to serve and help. Like, I'm a big, big believer in this. And this is the reason why we constantly call for ceasefire. Ceasefire in our hearts, ceasefire in our minds, ceasefire as it relates to these substances. So interesting that you just say that. I never heard you say that before, that I wanted to belong to the substance more than I wanted to belong to the people in my life. And Poppy Water pointed this out. He's like, you would go out for hours and just sit in the backyard and just tank out and just check out for hours. Who do you belong to if you're checked off of the planet or checked out of the planet for hours at a time? And once again, this is not me telling anybody how to live. Like I said this morning in the clubhouse room, I don't really care what y'all do. It really is your life. If you're not around and placing yourself directly in front of us, it's very hard for us to have an opinion or even an idea about what you're going through, which is why community is better than friends. But we want to definitely be present for the experiences that we are sharing and the experiences that we're witnessing. And right now, we're seeing the decimation of entire people groups. We're seeing countries being leveled to the ground. We're seeing the starvation of 2 million people over in Gaza. I'm not sure if there's been any change in that, Tara. It's just really awful to know that as a human, thirst and hunger is real. So why would you want someone else to go through that predicament? It's nuts to me. How are you feeling about Gaza, the evil that is Zionism, the evil that is Netanyahu? Like, where is this pulsing for you today, Tara?
I mean, I feel like, yesterday I kind of heard the whisperings of it, like whisperings of the conversation of Zionism re-entering the chat. It never left the chat, but it feels like sometimes you go online and like you don't hear anything about it, and you're like, oh, maybe it's like dissipating or something. But anyway, it came back with Mom Donnie's win, and I saw a couple of things this morning, and I just was like, I am so like I'm so sorry for the Palestinian people, and I'm so sorry for the indoctrination of the Jewish people, because they did a really damn good job on some of y'all. Like, I said to somebody this morning, like, they, what the indoctrination of Zionism has done to some people is almost as good as what was done to make white people believe that black and brown people were not human, right? Or lesser humans. Like, and it really just breaks my heart, because I can see the indoctrination and I can see that, like, coming out in their words, and like, just not even the recognition, because you believe that you're so right, in the same way that blue MAGA and red MAGA and like all of these indoctrinations. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, you're just hurting yourself, and it just really, like, y'all can tell, like, it really makes me very sad, what generations have done to other generations. And I just really wish that people could feel safe to unwind those indoctrinations, because the reason that we cling to them is because we feel safe in them, and we're not sure what's on the other side of that indoctrination, right? We're not sure what that looks like or who we can trust on the other side. And it really, to see what it results in the decimation of entire countries and an entire people group, and the cruelty of ICE and of the Israeli forces, and of, the terrorist groups as well. Like, there is so much hurt. There is so much hurt.
And it also lifts this question of who trained you to hate other humans this way. I'm sure that if we went down ICE member by ICE member, Zionist by Zionist, we'd be able to point to a person who planted the seed. It could have been, like we talked about earlier, the attack on your village or the loss of someone in your family, either way. But, like, what is the seed that caused that hateful tree to grow that a man in Albany hangs from? You got
Right.
to really pull the weed up by the root, as our AMB says, right?
And how can we unravel that hate feels like safety? Because I think that's the reality of a lot of people, is that their hatred, and the thing that is trained into them to hate, is what's making them feel safe, and that's why they cling to it. Like, and it really, like, again, I don't know why today, but today it just, like, I scrolled threads and I was scrolling Instagram stories, and I saw a couple posts from Zionists that were like scared of Mom Dami. And then I saw some other posts that were like, it might be anti-Semitic. And then I saw some other posts that were like, calling for, like, a free Palestine is anti-Semitic. And I was like, what is, like, wow, the indoctrination. And wow, do you feel like, why do you feel so entitled that way to believe that other people need to die for you, for your safety? Right? And that could be any group of people.
The eradication of people because you don't feel safe. And I don't believe, once again, like we talk about the substance abuse, and all, these ideas never complete. The loop doesn't close. You never feel safe enough to stop killing a bunch of people who may be vengeful back towards you because you weren't honoring of who they are. It's nuts.
Right. So yeah, I just, it really landed on me today. For whatever reason. I think about it a lot, but it really, it got me today.
And understandably so. We're not people that just talk about problems on our podcast or, the substances we are leaving or the woes of the world. We also are people who bring solutions through Love and Action Network and our capacity to care. We're partnering with organizations like People Are Our Greatest Resource to really amplify and network this love in a higher vibration and a higher consciousness for the planet. Part of my contribution, now that I'm back focused on my earthly commitments, is my Love Revival and Academy. I really want people to get the tools to feel empowered to build their own podcast. I don't want to just do this. Tara and I, we do this because we love it. We do this because it brings us joy. We don't do this to be seen. We're both professional entertainers and performers, but we don't really survive off the booty claps because we know that the same people, we've learned that the same people who will clap for you in one moment will throw a tomato the next. So we're not here for attention or attention seeking. We're here to actually serve the world and make a lasting positive impact. My Love Revival and Academy is part of that. I cannot wait to get out of my own way further to allow all of this to come into being. We are also adopting Black artists. We would love to get to know you. Black artists like Zamdani and his hip hop. We would love to call all Black artists into what we're doing. We know that you need cash apps. We know that you need supplies. We know that you need better platforms. We know that you need training. We would love to get to know Black artists and help them move from their overflow. I'm also hiring people for the Love Experience and to work on our team here to keep things operational. Tara has done an amazing job. Poppy has done an amazing job. Tony, Angie, the whole fun bunch has done an amazing job of keeping the embers of hope going. And we're looking for other people to partner with to either hire in a professional capacity or to work with within our volunteer org. We would love to get to know you better. Tara's also working on blackening the canon. Can you tell people briefly a bit where this idea is coming from for you, the genesis of it, and then how you see it moving forward in the next few months?
Yeah, listen, we can't fix everything. We can't fix everything. I literally cannot stop the bombs from falling. Me, myself, I cannot do it. I do not have the buttons. I'm not in. I'm not there. I'm not the person, right? But what I can do is I can change the indoctrination. I can change what the next generation experiences when they're walking into classical music. I can expose people to what I feel. That's my mother. What I feel is so ancestral and powerful, and I hope that everyone gets that experience inside of classical music and beyond. So right now it is a group chat that my child really wants to tell you all about. It is a group chat on WhatsApp where I drop things as I explore composers. My second album will be coming out. I think I have to connect with Poppy Wada one more time for the album cover. And it was supposed to come out this month, but things happen. And then, hey, yeah, just one minute. Just 1 minute. I'm not Dada. I'm Mama. Mama. No, that it's all da. But then also I want to move to actually teaching about rep. I would like to have consultations with artists to get Black repertoire into their standard repertoire. I'm hoping to explore some arias that are specifically written for mixed people. I found a couple composers that have done that, so I'm excited to explore those. And yeah, just see where it all goes, and to liberate some more voices within the studio. I'm really hoping to formulate some kind of program for Black singers and working with those voices. I think that's it. But if you want to come in, the link's on my website, tarapriolo.com/links, and you can get to the WhatsApp chat.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Piper. We are blessed by your presence. I hope that everyone enjoyed the love and truth that we shared today. I hope that the deconstruction of our thoughts and ideas, our lives, where things are landing on our hearts, personally, professionally, in the world, I hope that it did something for you. We do see you out there leaving comments. We do see you coming into community. We do see you watching. Once again, we're not doing this to be watched. We're doing this to elevate conversations and ideas that seek to make the world a better place that we inhabit. So I'm very, very grateful for your time and attention today. Very, very grateful to Tony and Manav for coming into the space and sharing that love and pulling us through this. Such a great moment to be alive. So yeah, on behalf of Tara Praolo Studio, Poppy Water 33, Tony, Angie, Dr. Cynthia, April, Quincy, Mark, a bunch of awesome humans on the planet that are part of our network that seeks to encourage, equip, and empower people to be their best selves. We thank y'all for watching. It's so amazing to be part of a community that wants to see our best selves shine through. A lot of people want to take and extract in a capitalistic world like this, but we are truly a mutual support network. Sometimes it's time, and I thank y'all for your time today, and I thank you, Tara, for your time today. Sometimes it's talent, sometimes it's treasure, financial or otherwise, but we're grateful for all the gifts you give. We've been producing high quality, uplifting content for our community now in this current streak for 85 weeks strong. For 85 weeks, we've been showing up week after week, sometimes day after day, to really say something that could be uplifting. We have kept our encouragement streak with the community longer than we've kept our gardening streak on Roblox. So the games can come and go, but community is what's going to last forever, and it's making a difference in my heart space. What's up?
I will get our game streak to 85 weeks. Okay. I'm determined. I'm determined to get it back or start a new one. And now that you are in recovery and I don't have company and I am off all next week from the studio, I will be doing other things, but we're going to get it back. It's going to be
I
fine.
think my husband's off next week too.
All week?
Yeah, the July 4th week, whenever that is that next week?
That's next week, baby.
Yeah, so it's gonna be lots of family
So
time.
Ben and I are going to watch America's Next Top Model and Charmed. He has a date with me. Please inform him. I'll text him about it.
He's very protective of sister time with Praolo, and she's very protective of her time with who we call Suze, or who she calls Suze. And I don't understand, nor do I want to understand America's Top Model or Charmed. In fact, one of the actors from Charmed was like, it's on a different show. He was like, oh my God, like Leo or whomever. Is it Leo?
There is a Leo, yes.
He's like, oh my God, he aged like milk. So I was like, call your friend and talk to her about it because I struggle to care. Anyway, stay in your power. Stay in your joy. Stay loved and lovable. And we will see y'all next week. 85 weeks strong so far of encouraging and uplifting the community. No signs of stopping yet. We're removing the entanglements that are keeping us from our dreams. And we're encouraging all of you all to do the same. We'll see y'all very, very soon.